Hi, Councillor Holland. I can confirm that the only regrets I have are from Councillor Kiley, and I do see Councillor Hutchison here now. So just waiting for Councillor Osanek. But we do have a quorum.
Great. Okay, well, we might just get going then, because we do have some addeds to approve. So we'll start out, first of all, call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Next, just draw your attention to the addeds that we received, which includes several delegations and some correspondence. So, Madam Deputy Clerk, Madam Clerk, whomever, I call the approval of the agenda with the addeds. You're on mute, sorry.
Yes, that's correct. Sorry,
okay,
I keep hitting unmute when I'm meaning to mute, or opposite.
Great. Okay, so that's what we'll do. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda with the edits, please? Moved by Councillor Neal, second by Councillor Hutchison. Great. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. And okay, so then the next is confirmation of our minutes from the September 13th meeting. Can I have a mover to approve those minutes, please? Moved by Councillor Hutchison, seconded by Councillor Chappelle. Thank you very much. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thanks. Okay. Next, any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Nope. Councillor Sanik, we're just getting to the disclosures of pecuniary interest. Seeing none. Okay. We will move on to delegations. So we have 5 delegations this evening, and we'll begin with the first one. Sorry, they're not on my original agenda. So are they in order on the addeds? Just looking for the full list.
Madam Chair, our first delegation is from Mark Greenwood.
Great. Okay. So yeah, next. Okay. Before we get into our delegations, but just 1 second though, Deputy Clerk. So I don't have the full list here. Is it? It's on the addeds though. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have 3 delegations that are approved as a matter of process under the procedure bylaw. Then there are 2 additional delegations which will require specific motions in order to be heard, and we have included those as items D and E on the addendum.
Right. So now that we've approved those, we don't need any separate motions when we get
that's incorrect. We have approved the addendum, which is the addition of the motions, but the motions themselves still need to be voted on.
Okay. All right. So let me just make sure I have the list in front of me. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a PDF problem today. Okay. And so for our delegations, you'll each have 5 minutes. And our first delegation is Mark Greenwood, Amy's Taxi, here to speak to the committee regarding consideration of applications submitted for committee appointments. And I will give you a 30-second indication when you're running low on time for all the delegations. So Mr. Greenwood, go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, can everyone see me there? Okay, great. Okay, I just have a prepared statement and then I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I'd like to thank, first of all, I'd like to thank for the opportunity to bring forth serious concerns about the Taxi Commission and certain members of the Commission. In the fact that I'm speaking before you, the Select Committee, which I've never done in the 24 years I have operated Amy's Taxi, hopefully will illustrate the sheer frustration of the industry with the present Commissioner. The last year has been stressful on us all with the COVID epidemic, but has been multiplied tenfold for those in the tax industry by the reckless, unknowledgeable actions of this Commission with little or no consultation with the industry. There has been no outcry from the public or industry for the wholesale changes or how the commission operates or many proposed bylaws. These have been driven mainly by Mr. Dowser, who has very little knowledge of the industry and how it operates, despite the fact his grandfather owned a plate in Toronto. Currently, we have a totally dysfunctional transportation industry. The taxi industry has lost all faith and trust in the present commission, and communication between the two essential bodies have broken down for the most part. This has occurred under the leadership of Mr. Dowser, who should take responsibility as one of the main architects of this reality. Here are a few examples. I'm sure everyone received my letter of September 30th there. July directive that all dormant plates must be put back on the road during the present pandemic. Rule by executive order and not following the actual bylaws, which are well thought out and have worked for many years. The issue with renewals, etc. All past directives have been withdrawn and are presently shelved, which means I believe that the reintroduction of Mr. Dowser, if he's reappointed, will be brought off this shelf. Industry letters received from the public and tax industry are not printed for everyone to see, as most are critical, I believe, of Mr. Dowser's control over social media of the commission itself. Ignoring the bylaws they choose and issuing directives as this is now the executive privilege they possess above the bylaws, they think. Refusing to make public the audited financial statements to the public or the industry who they collect all the funding from. This has been present for many, many decades. Changing the licensing practice, even though this is laid out in the bylaw, as apparently this is now an executive decision, as with the financial statements. The mismanagement and almost total disregard of the tax industry is evident. No longer do we have a somewhat independent, knowledgeable, and efficient bureaucracy. Many commissions have keys to the taxi commission office, including Mr. Dowser, who is often there. This bureaucracy was a stabilizing force and knowledgeable, one that could advise new commissioners on the issues of the tax industry and ensure smooth transitions. Mr. Dowser might have you believe that the commission is more open than ever on Facebook and social media when they have, in fact, greatly limited the consultation and frank and open discussion for the betterment of the tax industry and community as a whole. All these great changes, I would assert, have not been even noticed by the public, but the industry and myself have noticed more cars with unpainted body parts and a commission office which seems disorderly and confused. They are disregarding the core purpose of sending out renewal notices, safety notices, and inspections. They instead want to deal with getting insurance from an insurance broker, which we all know in the industry, and get group rates for us all from local dealers, car dealers, that is.
30 seconds.
This is not their function. And there is new strategic objectives for the industry, which is written without any consultation with the industry they regulate. This is the problem with all directives, executive privilege objectives are now discussed behind closed doors in camera and apparently no concern of the consequences or impact on the industry. They know from the limited knowledge what is best for us, and we have come subject of their rule by the executive, and at times insane.
That's time. Sorry, Mr. Greenwood, that's time. We'll have more time for questions.
Sure.
Moment, but thank you very much for your delegation.
You're welcome. I should have jumped to the conclusion. But
No, that's all right. Yeah, it goes quick. Okay, any questions for the delegation? I see one, Councilor Neal, go ahead.
Could you kindly jump to the conclusion, but make it brief and concise? Thank you.
This cannot continue any longer. We are, if by reappointing Mr. Dowser, you are condemning the industry and a vital industry to lawsuits, strikes, and worst of all, great brokers leaving the industry altogether. He must not be reappointed.
Thank you. This is my second and final question.
Sure.
Can you pointed out that there are executive decisions that are contrary to the existing bylaws. Can you specifically point out 2 or 3 of those?
Sure. The first one is the deal with renewals. The renewals are done, it's laid out in the bylaw. They have to have them by December 15th, or December 30th. They can't, they have to renew their license. So it's all laid out in the bylaw. And basically, we got a directive decision saying, no, that's not the way it operates anymore. It's going to operate on your birthday now. And this is during renewal time. So, and there's confusion, massive confusion in the industry of, okay, what if my birthday is this date or that date or whatever, but there was no reason or open discussion. When these bylaws were created with renewing license, they were created over many years and with the industry and adapted, and it works wonderfully. And they just came in and said, okay, we're just going to throw this completely out and we're going to do this new system because it works better for us. Now, the reasoning is that, which I don't understand, is they get 80% of their budget or their income during renewal time. And it's very efficient because it's done over a period of 2 months. Everyone knows it's done in these 2 months. And then in January 1st, we get a letter of all the drivers that are approved and all the drivers that are not approved. And during that time, the office remains open longer. So during the year, there's not a whole lot of business that takes place. They're open just from 9 till 12 because it's all done in that one section. So, and everyone knows what the rules are. And just at renewal time, they decide, no, we're going to change all the rules. We're going to ignore the bylaw, and then we're going to do what we want, right? So there's several other examples.
If we could keep it to one more, that would be great.
Okay, sure. Another example is there's a bylaw that says that we cannot sell our plates. So we have a bylaw in existence that says we cannot sell our plates. If someone dies in the industry and has a plate, their estate can sell the business. It's been a bylaw for many, many years. I'm not objecting to the new bylaw. I'm just saying that that is the bylaw presently in the bylaw that was passed over committees and stuff like that. So they came out. What happened is the new commissioner was allowed to sell her plate. Of course, in the end, this industry is small. Everyone knew that. Another individual was allowed to sell his plate. And we said, well, the commission's going against their own bylaw here. So then rather than change the bylaw or discussions, we just got a directive saying, oh, now you can sell your plates. But still in the bylaw, it still says the original bylaw because the bylaw hasn't been changed. So that's 2. Do you want another one?
No, that's great. Thank you. Okay, thanks again, Mr. Greenwood. Okay, any other questions? Go ahead, Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question. Why was the bylaw brought in that you can't sell your plates? There must have been a rationale there.
Well, there is. The city was reluctant. The plates are leased, I guess, to us on a yearly basis, as long as we have good behavior, right?
Right.
And we actually wanted to be able to sell our plates. So it's not something I'm disagreeing with. It's just that the bylaw has not been changed formally, with a vote and, second and third reading and another reading, open discussion. It was just done by executive order. And the bylaw still stands. So what was the question? Why weren't we allowed to sell our plates? There's a feeling on the commission that we shouldn't be allowed to because we never bought them in the first place. But many people have owned them, like myself, for 30 years. So we almost, but the reason you were allowed to sell the plate when you passed away is that many owners and drivers, they don't have any, maybe insurance or whatever that the widow could or husband could sell the plate and have a little bit of income from the spouse passing away or the family.
Right. Okay, so basically the plates are only leased in order to control the number of taxis on the road.
Is that your second question, Councillor Hutchison?
Yep, matter of speaking.
Yeah, okay. Well, the taxi commission sets the number, and the number is based on population. I think it's one plate for every 1,800 people or something like that. And that was created so there wasn't 500 plates out there and everyone was starving, right? All the drivers and brokers were starving, the quality of the cars go down, etc. So the commission actually sets that number as based on a per population calculation. So that's why I don't know if I answered your question or not. Did I?
No, that was
okay.
fine. That's the same as some other taxi situations in other cities. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Chappelle?
Yes, thank you, through the chair. So let's just a point of clarification. They're not selling the plates, they're selling the business of who's operating. So it's not a plate they're actually selling. The plate belongs to the tax commission. But I'm glad that Mr. Greenwood raised the issue about following bylaws, because I'd like to understand how, if the bylaw says your car cannot be more than 10 years old, how come you can have cars on them at one point over 18 years old in the community?
Well, I don't think we had cars 18 years, but I could be wrong. I think the oldest car was something like 15 years old. I don't think there were 17-year-old plates. That, the commission itself had a rule that they had to be 10 years old. But it was assumed that if the car was in good shape, the commissioner had the option to let it go to 12 years, but it had to be safety 3 times a year. A lot of the plates fell behind, Ms. Chappelle, because a lot of the cars have been sitting for the last 2 years. That the owners have not been making money and have not had the opportunity. So a large reason why some of the plates got so old was the fact of the epidemic, because they weren't replaced because they weren't really on the road, a lot of them.
Okay, any other questions, Councillor Chappelle?
Well, I actually do think it's the taxi inspector was not doing his job, but that's besides the point. I'll leave it at that. There's a lot of people who want to speak to this issue.
Great, okay, thank you. So seeing no other questions from the committee, thank you very much, Mr. Greenwood.
Okay.
And move on to the next delegation, who is Brian Campbell, Modern City Taxi, here to present regarding consideration of applications for committee appointments, Kingston Area Taxi Commission. So we have 5 minutes to speak. I see you, Mr. Campbell, and you're not on mute, so go ahead when you're ready.
Yes, first of all, thank you very much. And I would like to thank Mr. Greenwood for his concerns brought forward to your attention. First of all, did everyone receive my email?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. I've been approached in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks with multiple, hundreds of people in and around the industry that are very, very concerned of what's taken place in the last several months with the taxi commission. I've been around this industry for many decades, like Mr. Greenwood. I've never seen anything like what's taken place in the last several months. Hence why I'm at this meeting tonight. If something isn't changed, the brokers and industry will change it. I would prefer we could do it through administration, through consultation, through, communication, getting the stakeholders that are all involved and coming to a very, very safe in our community. The reason the taxi commission was formed in the first place is safety. Safety, safety, safety is paramount. When a single mother at 3 o'clock in the morning needs to take her child to the hospital, it's probably going to be a taxi cab that takes her there. So there is an actual valid reason why this industry is there and what we do and how we involve with our community. And overall, what we've seen in the last several months is not supporting or helping our industry at all. It doesn't make any sense what's gone on. Mr. Greenwood has gone over many, many points, so I won't go over them again. But we have been subject to very many disruptive changes with the bylaw, or ad hoc, I guess ad hoc you would call it. We don't understand it ourselves. We don't even know where we're at most of the time. The changes, I know most of you don't want to hear us get into the weeds, but there's a reason we're here speaking tonight. There's a reason. The plate renewal process, the driver's renewal process, everything is not making sense. The most paramount issue we have is the lack of control, which I understand the city is dealing with under the T&C issue, and what we call bandit taxis, which are out of control. I don't know if you're familiar, if you watched the news, and like a month ago in the middle of the night, there was a bandit taxi that, took people's credit cards, information, whatever. There's a reason we have structure, and we support structure. We support having a real inspector. We support, why we have all this structure, but we have not witnessed this in the last 7 to 11 months. We seem to be subject to constant ad hoc behavior, which we can't figure out, and it's not helping anybody. If I may circle around and come back to the whole reason the Taxi Cab Commission was created was paramount, was public safety. Are we really serving that right now? Because all we've seen is erratic behavior. And that's why we're here tonight speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Great. Any questions, the delegation? Okay. Seeing none, thanks again. We'll continue on our list. And next we have Michael Maroney, who's here to speak regarding consideration of applications for Kingston Area Taxi Commission. Mr. Mulrooney, I see you there. If you are able to come off mute, you'll have 5 minutes, and I'll give you an indication when it's 30 seconds to go. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks for allowing me to speak. I'm an automotive tech in Kingston. I have my own garage, and we deal with the taxis all the time. Since around January or February, when it was just amazing how much they picked on the inspector at the meetings. This was prior to COVID. Some of the commissioners that are there now are also ones that were doing the same thing at that time, picking on them, and it was deplorable what they did. He was with the Taxi Commission for more than 10 years. Also, the licensing agent, Ms. Sargent, was there for more than 15 years. And since the commission, this commission and the prior commission, they both resigned or quit. And that's disgraceful, because this is supposed to be an oversight committee, not the day-to-day operations of the Taxi Commission. At one point, there was over 600 drivers and over 200 taxi plates. They were able, just the two of them were able to get all the licensing done, all the safeties, all that stuff in shorter hours. Now they've extended the hours, and we can't figure out what they're doing down there. Mr. Kennedy, he was the inspector. He was a licensed automotive tech. He was also a bylaw enforcement officer, which they need in order to process fines and fees and that sort of stuff. And Mrs. Sargent was very knowledgeable of the taxi industry. She ran the office with precision and efficiency, and she was a terrific loss to the commission. The whole idea of the taxi inspector is to have someone available that knows vehicles, knows different aspects of tire wear and that sort of stuff in order to keep the vehicle safe. And he was very fair. Some people didn't like him. He was fair to the industry and to the safety of the people in Kingston. That's pretty well all I have to say. That with that loss, there's no way they can continue operating the way they are. They need to get these people back. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the delegation? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Thank you again. All right, so now we move into the delegations where we need a motion, and we do have the motions in advance, but we'll need to vote on these. So for the remaining delegations, since we need to waive our procedural bylaw, Ms. Janes, jump in if I'm not doing this correctly, but I will just read the motions. Moved by Councillor Holland, seconded by Councillor Chappell, that clause 2.17 of the City of Kingston Committee Bylaw 2110-205 be waived in order to allow Diane Aziz, Secretary Treasurer, Kingston Area Taxi Commission, to speak to the committee regarding consideration of applications submitted for committee appointments, Kingston Area Taxi Commission. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Now, Ms. Janes, the question, I think I should just do the next one as well, and then we just move through them. Okay, so moved by Councillor Holland, seconded by Councillor Chappell, that clause 2.17 of the City of Kingston Committee Bylaw 2010-205 be waived in order to allow Will Frank Sandville, resident, to speak to the committee regarding consideration of applications submitted for committee appointments, Kingston Area Taxi Commission. All those in favor? Opposed? And it carries. Great. So we will begin with Diane Aziz. Diane, you have, sorry, Mrs. Aziz, you have 5 minutes, and I'll give you a 30-second warning. Where you go.
Thank you very much, Chair Holland and members of the committee for allowing me to speak to you tonight. I am Diane Aziz. I am the Secretary Treasurer of the Commission, and I'm speaking on behalf of our Chair, Joe Dowser, and our Vice Chair, Stephen Fraser. We became the executive of the Commission on September 13th of this year. That's 2.5 months ago. In the 2.5 months since then, we have dedicated ourselves to establishing good governance, positive and direct communication with the industry, and developing a strategic plan for the Commission. This fall, we issued our first report to the Mayor and City Council, members of the taxi industry, and the public. I have provided you with a copy of the report, and I'd like to say at this point, we issued an audited financial statement to the industry and to the Mayor, the CAO, and Council. So I'm speaking to Mr. Greenwood's allegation that we did not issue an audited financial statement. We did. Our goals are first and foremost ensuring that we work with the industry to help them to recover from the effects of the pandemic, which we understand has been devastating to them. We want to also ensure that the Commission has strong fiscal management, and we've made some decisions to achieve that goal. And we want to modernize the processes that we develop. And we have done some of those things in consultation with the industry through delegation at our meetings. I'd like to highlight some of the things we have accomplished in this short period of time. The Commissioner's office is open from 9 to 5. It was always supposed to be opened from 9 to 5, and it had been closing at 1 o'clock. So we established what were supposed to be the hours of the Commission. This helps to help us serve the public and our clients and have better access to our services. Mr. Campbell referred to 7 to 11 months of erratic behavior. We have only been there 2.5 months as an executive. The commission earlier this year, January, February, up till June and July, they did impose a number of initiatives on the industry, which would have been extremely detrimental to their recovery from the pandemic. We received a multitude of correspondence from the owners describing how adversely affected they were by these things. I, along with Mr. Dowser and Mr. Fraser, were successful in getting the former commission members to put these initiatives on pause, and they remain on pause. We recognize that the industry has a long road to recovery, and we want to ensure that we don't do anything to hinder them in any way. We are here to listen and ensure that we reach out to hear concerns. We have improved and streamlined the renewal process. Renewals are due by December 31st, but starting next year, we are going to renew on birth dates in the same way that we renew our driver's licenses. 2 new accessible taxi plates have been offered out. We've had feedback that people weren't being served in the city in trying to get an accessible taxi. So we put a request out for 2 new taxi plates, and we'll offer an interest-free loan from the monies provided to us by the city as an incentive. That's to serve the public. We have standardized the process for the transfer of taxi businesses, as the other speakers talked about. It was not the place we are standardizing, it is the business. We have
30 seconds.
We have implemented processes and platforms so that we can hear from the industry and public through Facebook and our website. We are working with the city on the rideshare bylaw, and we wish to see this work through. We're a strong team, and we respectfully request that our nominations be approved and our work extended. And I thank you.
Great. That was in with 50 seconds to go. Thank you. Any questions for the delegation? Councillor Neal?
Thank you. I see you have a background through the Attorney General. Are you yourself a lawyer?
No, I was the senior manager of court services for Kingston and Napanee.
Okay, I was curious about one of the previous speakers said that there isn't currently a bylaw enforcement officer, deputized or whatever they call it. And I know from my time as commissioner way back in the 90s, that was a kind of important role for the taxi commission. Can you explain the accuracy or inaccuracy of that statement?
There are personnel issues that I'm not privy to discuss with you involving the former inspector. These issues arose before my time and Mr. Dowser's time, and it's difficult for me to tell you anything more other than they are personnel issues.
Yes,
what I can say,
I'm not trying to get into personnel issues.
Okay.
That's a yes, no answer. Is there a bylaw enforcement officer?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Neal. We are using Paladin to do our inspections and enforcement. They are bylaw enforcement officers, and they have the authority to lay charges under the Provincial Offences Act. So there are inspections going on. There is enforcement going on through Paladin security.
Thank you. Great. Any other questions? Councillor Chappelle?
one of the previous speakers spoke about the purpose of the taxi commission is first and foremost public safety. Can you describe what would be on the back seats of the cars in the future with this taxi commission bringing forward for public safety for the residents of Kingston?
Thank you. Another initiative that we have been consulting with the industry about, we do offer the industry opportunity to give us feedback on these initiatives. And I, in fact, have written lengthy responses to the industry about this particular initiative, where we would have badges on the back of the seats of the taxi so that a person who's being driven knows who's driving them and how to get in touch with us or make a complaint should they have an issue. We are working with the industry on this. We have received a number of good suggestions, and we continue to consult with the industry.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, sorry, Councillor Hutchison, I want, go ahead.
Thank you. Question, there's the office hours. You were saying they're open 9 to 5. And is it well, one, is that in the bylaw that is to be open that long? I guess that would be the first thing.
That's an administrative practice. We are of the understanding that the office hours were 9 to 5, but somehow the office got locked at 1 o'clock. When we took over as executive, we opened the office till 5 o'clock as we understood were the hours, and it allows the public and our clients, the taxi industry, to have better and longer access to our services.
Were you responding to complaints?
I'm sorry?
Were you responding to complaints?
No. Although since we opened, we have had a lot of positive feedback from the drivers themselves who find having the extra few hours in the afternoon to come in to be most beneficial, because taxi drivers just don't drive during the day. They drive all night. They drive in, they may be sleeping during the day, and then they would get up, say, at 3 o'clock, and then our office is now open when it would have been closed at 1.
So who?
Okay, sorry, that's 3 questions now, Councillor Hutchison. You're only allowed 2.
I don't think there's any limit.
For delegation?
This is not a briefing.
It's a delegation, similar to at council, but I'll confirm with Ms. James.
Through the chair, yes, Councillor Hutchison, the limit is 2 delegation. The limit is 2 questions per delegation.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions for the delegation? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, move to our final delegation, which is Will Frank Sainbell, who's here to speak to the committee regarding appointments for Kingston Area Taxi Commission. And you can just begin as soon as you're off mute, and I'll give you a 30-second warning. 5 minutes, please. Go ahead.
Evening. Thank you very much for having me. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for the privilege to speak to the select committee in behalf of myself and also many other fleet owners and individual owners I have had the chance to talk to recently. And I'm very happy that I heard Ms. Aziz comment on how the commission is helping us. And as a fleet owner myself, I can tell you it is the contrary. And we are all aware the pandemic has been ruthless on the taxi industry. I personally have lost so much. Paying my personal bills has been an issue. Paying my business bill has been a struggle. And I can tell you that at some point, my insurance broker had to intervene and to help me pay my insurance. I understand that part of the problem has been the pandemic doing its thing, wreaking havoc on the industry. But I can also tell you that part of the problem has been some of the decisions that the actual taxi commission has made. And one particular one that has affected me personally is the age of the vehicle. And I'm not saying that this is not a, this is not a logical conversation to bring in. But my issue is why now? Because we are in the middle of a pandemic. If the business is down, and right now, it is not the place for the new age of the vehicle. And I am not personally aware of any issues or accidents that have happened in our city because the vehicle is older than what the current commissioner / chair or chair prefers. I cannot understand why in the middle of the pandemic, instead of understanding that the industry is struggling, the commission is making decisions to take it to the ground. So with what money are we supposed to buy, the newer vehicles? And right now, used car parts are up 25 to 30%. So we're making less money and we're supposed to bring newer vehicles. How are we supposed to do that? So those decisions are really, taking the industry to the ground. It does not make any logical sense to me and to many fleet owners like me that, why now this needs to get into practice. So based on those decisions that are affecting me personally, I have several times considered to just leave the industry. But this is how I make my living. This is how I pay, for my family's expenses. And I have made the decision to stay. But I can tell you that it has been very, 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 very hard. And I can tell you, many other fleet owners that I have talked to, we have come to the understanding, based on those decisions were not made to help the industry, to help the struggling industry in mind. It is my understanding, based on those decisions, that they are made to help the ride-sharing companies, for example. So because you cannot tell me in the middle of this pandemic where we are bringing in less money and you are pushing us to spend more money. For the first time since I started owning cars in 2014, I've had to take loans twice at the bank in order to comply to what the commission has has said. So it is not fair, and I strongly believe that this commission, as it is right now, is not working to help the industry. It is working in behalf of the ride-sharing companies, for example. Thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Great. Any questions for the delegation? Councillor Neal, go ahead.
How frequently Do you need to have your car's safety? And I'm just curious if that number is different than it was in the past. And
6 months, Councillor. Every 6 months, we're supposed to
that's
have
for
them
all
safety.
cars, regardless of their age?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Great. Any other questions? Councillor Chappelle?
Mr. Sangval, thank you very much for your presentation. And, you know, in the spirit of openness and transparency, the minutes of the commission meetings are open to the public. They're live streamed by Facebook Live, and the minutes are posted on the website. And in those minutes, it indicates that suspension, that the previous two commissioners who were previously on the board up until September 10th had in fact were pushing for this age requirement. But the new commission has suspended that requirement and is looking to phase in to get closer to the actual date of 10 years. And I think it's 12 years is what the limit is now. And I'm wondering if your cars are within that age group of 10 to 12 years, or if that, are you aware of that information in the current commission that has suspended that directive from the previous board?
Mr. Appel, thank you for our questions. I am aware that there has been an update on that, but the bad has already done on me already, and on many other owners, because I was putting I had to change 2 vehicles, but I had to buy vehicles that are gonna give me, a few years enough, so that I can comply with the then bylaw, and I had to take loans for those. And I'm just giving you, this is just, an example of, of those type of decisions, because they have affected me and many other owners who have to take loans at the bank, things they would have otherwise never done. I'm sorry. I have to make something clear. I am not saying that, Mr. Chappelle, that the age of the vehicle, it is not a plausible conversation to have. The problem is right now, when the decisions were made, they were not made with the understanding that the industry was struggling, that it needed time to recover before we ask fleet owners to have those vehicles. After the pandemic, absolutely. But right now, I am in debt because of those decisions that were made. So, and with making less money, and I don't know how, I don't know what the future is going to hold, because right now, we are all struggling. So this is where I am coming from. So those decisions were never to be made in the first place.
No, I absolutely agree with you, and that was done and those commissioners are no longer on the commission, and so thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Great.
Welcome, sir.
Seeing no other questions. Oh, sorry, Councillor Sandra, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and just one question to Mr. Sandval, and thanks very much for letting us know your struggle and what you're going through. Do you know how many other taxi drivers are in the same predicament? Have you heard?
I don't have exact numbers for you, Councillor Sanic, but it's a lot of us. It's a lot of us.
Yeah, and it's basically because of the rule that your vehicle can't be older than 10 years, right?
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I can tell you, my understanding is the last the last thing I read on that was that there's a 6 months hold. And I can tell you, there are a lot of vehicles that are going to be affected, if the 6 months, hold just stay. So while it's a good conversation to have, but I think things those decisions really they have really affected people like me, whose bills and families' bills are paid on the industry.
No, I understand. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you again, Mr. Saintville. So that brings us to the conclusion of our delegations for the evening. So we're going to continue on now with our business items. And okay, so no, that's the addendum. Sorry. Okay, Ms. Jane's quick question. So we are considering the applications now, but then the business, that's business B is the late applications. So we'll do A first. Just gonna look, first of all, we can change the order with the consent of the committee, but even though we've approved the agenda already, but if we're okay just moving through as is, we'll do that. Okay, let's do that. So the first one to consider then is Kingston Frontenac Housing Corporation Board. There are 2 appointments for that board. And we have a total of 21 applicants, I believe. I haven't added my late ones onto this list. So I'm just going with 21, unless they get flagged. Okay, so before we get started, as I think all members of this group, we've been around for a little while now. We're pretty familiar with the process. Thank goodness it's taken a bit of time to get us to where we need to be. But what we will do is we will have an initial discussion of the applicants, and people can put forward some names if they like. Then we'll move forward with a vote on the names that are listed. We'll go through the entire list and see how many votes are there for each candidate. Then we'll have a look at that list. If there's any candidate with a majority of votes, which in this group would be 3, if anyone gets 3 votes on the first round, they would move ahead into the position. Failing that, we will continue to go back and review. We'll have a round of discussion each time and a vote until we have a majority for each candidate. So now we're looking for this board, we need 2, so we will need to do this a few times. Anyone, as we go through the list, especially on the first go round, anyone who receives 0 votes will drop off of the list, and we'll go from there. Does that capture it, essentially? Mostly nods. Okay, and so Councillor Neal, is that you wanting to speak first to this list?
No, just a couple of pieces of clarification, if I could. There's a couple of occasions when, and I know typically we don't appoint people to 2 committees, but there's a couple of applications in this big bundle that says currently serving on the Citizen Committee to review council remuneration. And I would say that that's a very different kind of committee. It's an ad hoc committee, and I presume that their work will be completed in a month's time or a few weeks' time. So I'm just wondering if we could get some guidance from Ms. Janes. Should that be a disqualifier for somebody wishing to serve on another committee?
Okay, Ms. Janes, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair, to Councillor Neal. It's never a disqualifier. There's no rule that says that an individual can't serve on more than one committee at a time. However, you are correct that the Citizen Committee to Review Council Remuneration is a short-lived committee compared to some of the other appointments. We expect that the Citizen Committee will be reporting to Council in the first quarter of 2022.
Great. And we also have, I believe, one late applicant within this bundle. And in the past, unless there's been a compelling reason, such as not many people applying for a position, I don't think we've allowed them to be qualified. Is my recollection correct? Somebody that's been on the committee for a while comment on that. I know we've chosen in the past not to accept late applications.
I think I'll turn it over to Councillor Stanek, who has something to say on that, but I think what we have done in the past is we haven't exactly ruled out the possibility if someone were to make a strong case for someone who was late applying, but at the same time, I don't know that any have gotten through. So I'll go to Ms. James first and then Councillor Stanek. Go ahead, Ms. James.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. That's my recollection of what we've done in the past.
Okay. And Ms. James, is that correct?
Yeah, it's up to the committee how they wish to proceed. For Kingston Frontenac Housing Board, though, and I'm just taking a quick look at my list. I just don't see a late application at first glance. So,
great. Okay, thank you. All right, I have one last question on that. Is there any distinction between, like I think, so some boards do their own, have their own internal process. So there are some applicants who, for example, are on other boards. Like I'll use on this list, for example, Liz Shell, I know, is on the Kingston Access Service Board. And she's marked as an incumbent on Kingston Frontenac Housing Corporation, but she's not marked as currently serving on another board in her application. Oh, sorry, that's in a different part of the application, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Ms. James.
Yes, so the City of Kingston does not look after any of the recruitment for the Kingston Access Services, so that's why she's not listed there. We've only listed committees for which the City of Kingston looks after the recruitment.
All right, okay, that's what I thought. Great, thank you. Okay, any other questions of clarity before we get through the list here? Okay, seeing none, we'll just open it up then. If anyone has any comments on any of the applicants, feel free, just let me know, we'll get to you. Councillor Neal, then Councillor Hutchison.
Yes. Former Councillor Shell was very active in housing and was a council appointee to Kingston Frontenac Housing Corporation. And it shows her as an incumbent. And I think it's important often to support incumbents to allow for continuity in an appointment. So I'll be supporting former Councillor Shell.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Oh, sorry, Councillor Hutchison. Yeah, I had you. Go ahead.
In addition to number 19, Liz Shell, I thought that number 11, Trish Kraus, showed quite a wide committee experience, including having worked in housing. So also business strategy background. So I thought both of those might be useful on a board such as Kingston Frontenac Housing.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Chappelle?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm interested in Mohammed Youssef. He's applied for a number of times through the course of our term, and he's put this down as his first choice. I think in the interest of having some diversity on the Kingston Housing Frontenac Corporation would be helpful. You know, he's a professional engineer. and he's very interested in his work with United Way through his employer, Bombardier. And so I think that a person who continues to apply, there should be some interest provided to a person like that who has demonstrated significant interest in being part of the Kingston community.
Thank you. Councillor Sandra?
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. I had Liz Shell as my first choice, and yeah, Mohammed Youssef as my second, and like as the second person for KFHC. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to add one more to the list. I had number 12, Sandra Leslie, and I have her in part because she indicated as her first choice as opposed to some of the others, and also because she has experience as an executive director with John Howard Society, particularly with employment services. So she's worked with a lot of individuals who are precariously housed or living in social housing. And I do know that from that role that she has a good understanding of some of the needs of individuals who are housed, but also, of course, has the corporate level perspective as an executive director. So I have her on my list as well. Okay. So I think then we're ready to go through, and I'll ask Ms. Janes to read through the list, and we'll just indicate our vote. Remember, you have only 2 votes as she reads through the list.
Okay, number 1, Joseph Abro. Seeing none. Number 2, Mark Asper. Seeing none. Number 3, Miriam Borden. Seeing none. Number 4, Lisa Burgess. Seeing none. Number 5, Maureen Covert. Seeing none. Number 6, Andre de Gagne. None. Number 7, Blaise Dupuis. None. Number 8, Lindsay Foster. None. Number 9, Michael Hobbs. None. Number 10, Catherine Kren. None. Number 11, Trish Kraus. None. Number 12, Sandra Leslie. I see 2. Number 13, Lisa McDonald. None. Number 14, Greg Mitchell. None. Number 15, Jay Nowak. No. Number 16, Mahua Watara. None. Number 17, Latoya Powder. None. Number 18, Eric Rutherford. None. Number 19, Liz Shell. 5. Number 20, Jessica Seaton. None. And number 21, Mohammed Youssef. 3. Okay, just to summarize, Madam Chair, we received, the committee had 2 votes for candidate 12, Sandra Leslie, 5 votes for number 19, Liz Shell, and 3 votes for 21, Mohammed Youssef.
So according to my original description, we have selected our 2 spots. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that is it for the Kingston Frontenac Housing Corporation. Our thanks to all who've put forward their names, and congratulations to Liz Shell and oh my gosh, Mohammed Youssef for their nomination to the committee. Great. Okay, so the next one is the Municipal Accessible Advisory Committee. And we need 7 appointments for that group. Okay. All right, so we will go to just open it up to the group. For anyone who wishes to speak to any of the prospective candidates. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Chappelle. Oh, Councillor Chappelle. First, we're going to go to Ms. Janes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to remind the committee that there is a requirement for the Accessibility Committee to have at least 50% of its members with disabilities. We have looked at the membership, and currently 6 of the 15 incumbents who have not reapplied tonight do have a disability. So we need to make sure that when we are making appointments tonight, at least 2 appointments do have identified that they have a disability in order that we meet those legislative requirements.
Okay, great. That is good to know. Thank you. Okay, so first I have Councillor Chappelle and then Councillor Neal. You're ready to go.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Number 4, Chantal Bazinski. I mean, how could you not support a woman who wrote a book on women's whiskey world? She has, hands down, my vote. Very impressed with that. Actually, she's got a lot of experience. He's as a naval officer and is in pursuing a degree. She's part of the Rob Roy band. Lots of interesting components. I think she's certainly a great resident of Kingston. I have others, but in the light of what our clerk has mentioned, number 12, Nicholas. Sorry, 103. Nicholas, he's a competitor in the Pan Am Games, a swimmer. I had an opportunity to meet him a number of years ago at the YMCA. There was an event, a fundraising event for a new pool liner, and he was there. And I think that he put this down as his first choice. So I'll leave it at that. I think other members of the committee would like to recommend names as well.
Great. Yep. Okay, Councillor Neal, go ahead.
Yes, 7. And how many are the total number, Ms. James? I believe, is it 12 or is 12 quorum? I can never remember.
There's 15 members, Councillor, excuse me, through you, Madam Chair. There are 15 members, 14 public members, and then 1 council member. We have 6 members whose term is continuing, so they haven't had to reapply. We do have 3 incumbents who have reapplied tonight. So we need to make a total of 7 appointments this evening, 2 of whom have to have a disability.
I'm on that committee, and it's a really, really good, really well functioning committee. I'm curious about the incumbents that are listed here as reapplying. I'm presuming that they will help with the required allocation of people self-identifying as having a disability?
Yes, I believe that a number of the applicants have identified in their application that they have a disability.
And I'd like to point out that number 5, Amy Birch, was a member prior, and following our guidelines, stepped down from the committee, and she's reapplying. So we can pretty much consider her an incumbent as well, because she has a number of years experience. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Any other ones to consider at this moment? Councillor, yeah, go ahead, Councillor Chappelle.
Just based through you, Madam Chair, just through what Councillor Neal's saying about the incumbents, and since you're the councillor on that committee, I know it's. Are you recommending that perhaps we consider the incumbents as part of our choices? I'm just because you work with them and you said it's efficient.
Yeah, it's good, always good to have some continuation, because if we don't and I'm not saying that all 7 have to be incumbents, but if we don't support that, then sometimes you end up with a less experienced group, which may be a good thing in some committees. But this is a really high functioning, really good group to work with. I believe Councillor Holland was were you on the committee before me?
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah.
And so there are 3 marked as incumbents on here. And I guess Councillor Neal is giving thumbs up of approval on those. Councillor Hutchison, or sorry, is that it for you, Councillor Chappelle?
Yeah, but thank you very much for the clarification, Councillor Neal. That's very helpful.
Thank you.
Councillor Hutchison, go ahead.
I want to support the incumbents because it sounds like they're doing the job. And for the same reason that Councillor Neal gave, incumbency doesn't matter. And I support Councillor Chappelle, number 4, Buczynski. And I've been persuaded just now to support Birch. I was kind of in between on that one, but I think that's probably a good idea. And I'm thinking maybe I think to bring me to 7 is number 11, Corey Scott, who works at Keys and knows about the legislation, which seems to me an important thing to help staff out of somebody who actually knows the legislation. So, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Great. Any other ones? Councillor Stanek?
Yes, I was going to pick the incumbents and Maxine Bridges and Shantae. I know she had applied last time as well, that we looked at these, in Amy and Nicholas Tobes because again, his Paralympic experience.
Great, thank you. Okay. Yeah, I agree with everyone. I think I had flagged Penny LeClaire as well, but this who is current member of the CNIB board for deafblind community services. But there are a lot of good applicants. So I'm happy to proceed with the vote and see how things go if everyone's ready. Okay. All right, so Ms. Janes, are you ready to walk us through?
I am. Number 1, Nicholas Betchen. Number 2, Maxine Bridges. 2. 3, Dorothean. Oh, is that 3, Councillor Neal? Sorry, just for clarity. Number 2, Maxine Bridges. 3, my apologies. Number 3, Dorothean Brown. 3 for Dorothean Brown. Number 4, Shantae Buczynski. 4. Number 5, Amy Birch. That's 5. 6, Corrine Colbert. 1. 7, Michael Judd. So 1. 8, Lisa Kellyan. 9, Penny LeClaire. 5. 10, Joshua Marcus. Number 11. Sorry, Councillor Holland, were you raising your hand for Joshua Marcus?
It's just really hard to have 7 votes. So I think there are only 4 remaining and I voted 3 times only. So yes, I am raising my hand now.
Okay, so that is Joshua Marcus and it is 1 vote. We're on to candidate 11, Corey Scott. See 3 hands. Number 12, Nicholas Toljesi. 3. Number 13, Janice Wilby. 5. And number 14, Meredy Osolinskip. Okay, just to summarize that, we have received, excuse me, the following votes. Candidate 2, Maxine Bridges, 3 votes. Candidate 3, Dorothean Brown, 3 votes. Candidate 4, Shantai Buczynski, 4 votes. Candidate 5, Amy Birch, 5 votes. Candidate 9, Penny LeClaire, 5 votes. Candidate 10, Joshua Marcus, 1 vote. Candidate 11, Corey Scott, 3 votes. Candidate 12, Nicholas Toljesi, 3 votes. And candidate 13, Janice Wilby. So that would mean that Amy Birch, Penny LeClaire, and Janice Wilby are elected on this round with 5 votes, and Shantai Buczynski with 4 votes.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks. I forgot to mention the majority this time would have been 4. So those with 4 and above have been elected. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 7. Point of order, Councillor Sanik. Or sorry, Powell.
I'd be honored to be Councillor Sanik with her passion for our environment. Anyways, I just wanted to point out to the clerk, I know you had your head down and I didn't want to interrupt you, but I did actually have my first ballot cast for Nicholas Betchen. So, and I remain with the balance of the 6 going forward. So what I'm just for, it doesn't make a huge difference, but I just wanted to,
My apologies, Councillor Chappelle. I have noted that in my records now. Thank you for the clarification.
So there's 1 vote there. Those who have been elected are no longer on the list. We have several with 3 votes. It would probably be best, Ms. James, if you gave us the list of who's still in the running.
Yes. Candidate 1, Nicholas Betchen. Candidate 2, Maxine Bridges. Candidate 3, Dorothean Brown. Candidate 10, Joshua Marcus. Candidate 11, Corey Scott. And candidate 12, Nicholas Toljesi.
Thank you. All right. So,
Sorry, Madam Chair, how many votes do we have left to spread out now?
Yeah, so we're still looking for 3.
3, okay.
So we'll have 3 votes this time. And we have 6 candidates remaining. Did anyone want to speak to any of them this time? Okay, I think I'll just note that there are a few that remain on this list that have it as a second choice. That's just one consideration that I have for a committee member. I usually tend to vote for the ones that have it as first. And so that's what I'll be considering for the next round. Anyone else have anything you want to add? Okay, so we'll go through and do another round of voting. And we each have 3, as I mentioned. Okay, if we're ready, go ahead, Ms. James.
Candidate 1, Nicholas Betchen. 1. Candidate 2, Maxine Bridges. I see 3. Candidate 3, Dorothy Ann Brown. I see 3. Candidate 10, Joshua Marcus. 1. Candidate 11, Corey Scott. I see 4. Candidate 12, Nicholas Toljesi. 2. And that is, excuse me, that is all the candidates in this round. Corey Scott is elected with 4 votes. And remaining for the next round, we have candidate 1, Nicholas Betchen, candidate 2, Maxine Bridges, candidate 3, Dorothean Brown, candidate 10, Joshua Marcus, and candidate 12, Nicholas Tolgesi.
So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 remaining and only 2. Point of order, Councillor Hutchison.
Not sure you covered this in the rules for this session, but usually the low votes drop off.
If there are, yeah, we've been doing it if it's 0, when it's 1 and there's a few in play. I don't always do it that way, I have to say, but I mean, I didn't take note of all of the lowest votes on that round. So Ms. Janes, I'm not sure.
Certainly,
Yeah.
Candidate 1, Nicholas Betchen, and candidate 10, Joshua Marcus, each had 1 vote.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, it speeds things up a little bit. If we do that, if the committee consents to that, that's fine with me. Okay. So let's do that. Great. So then we'll remove those 2. We have 3 remaining and only 2 positions, correct? 2 positions remaining?
That's correct. We still have candidate 2, Maxine Bridges, candidate 3, Dorothy Ann Brown, and candidate 12, Nicholas Tolgesi.
Okay. All right. So we have 2 votes each. Anyone have anything to say further? Okay. So go ahead, Ms. Janes, and we will go through the 2 votes.
Yes. Candidate 2, Maxine Bridges. See 4. Candidate 5. I'm going to call that again just for clarity. And candidate 2, Maxine Bridges. You see 5 hands. Candidate 3, Dorothy Ann Brown. You see 2 hands. And candidate 12, Nicholas Tolgesi. I see 3 hands. Madam Chair, that the results of this round are Maxine Bridges is elected with 5 votes. And we still have Dorothy Ann Brown with 2 votes and Nicholas Tolgesi with 3 votes.
So looks like we'll do another round. Anyone have anything else to say? We'll wait for Councillor Chappelle to return. Okay, so we'll go to the vote again when you're ready, Ms. Janes.
I think Councillor Chappelle maybe had a question.
Oh, point of order, yeah.
I scribbled all over my pages. So I'm just wondering if you could just tell me who's been elected. I don't need to know the numbers, just who's elected. If I can highlight, I don't make myself confused. At the end of this vote, it doesn't have to be now, at the end of this vote.
At the end of this vote, Councillor Chappelle, you should have elected all 7 of you. Did you want me to tell you which 6 have been appointed now?
No, at the end of our vote, just a summary of who was elected, because I got myself confused.
Okay, so now we're going to vote. We have only 2 candidates left, 1 vote each. Ms. Janes will read the names.
Okay. Candidate 3, Dorothy Ann Brown. I see 1 hand. Candidate 12, Nicholas Tolgesi. I see 4 hands. So Nicholas Tolgesi is elected, and I will confirm the 7 recommended appointees. Maxine Bridges, Chantai Kuczynski, Amy Birch, Penny LeClaire, Corey Scott, Nicholas Tolgesi, Janice Wilby.
Great. Yeah. Okay, well, congratulations to all the new members, and thank you very, very much to those who put their names forward, and we hope that you'll continue to do so in the future. Okay, so we'll next do the Kingston Area Taxi Commission. And we need 5 appointments. Just bear with me, I have to bend over and get some papers. Okay. So we'll just, point of order, Councillor Chabot.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just with respect to the candidates on this list, numbers 11 and 12, they would not be able to be appointed to the Taxi Commission because they are currently in conflict with the interest of being valid driver badge holders.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to stop you. That's not a point of order, but we'll get right to that. You can speak to that.
Okay, I was just trying to explain before you started selecting candidates. That's all.
No, that's fine. We'll get to it. I'll get to you as soon as we get there. We certainly wouldn't go into a vote on anything before hearing from everyone. Okay, so we'll just continue then, and I'll move over to the business item. So Councillor Chappelle, continue on. You are the first speaker. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to speak on behalf of the incumbents, Diane Aziz, Joseph Dowser, and Stephen Fraser. This group of individuals, along with the councillor from Loyalist Township, Mike Berubik, who I believe has sent correspondence indicating that he is very comfortable with this current group of incumbents and would like to see them continue. The rationale is that there's been a significant amount of effort put forward by this group to try to address the chaos that was created by some previous board members of the Taxi Commission. We're trying to bring the calm to the industry and work with them. I've personally consulted with both of the owners of the stands, and so has Ms. Aziz has been in their offices meeting with them. I believe that we're on a good course to with our strategic plan, our open and transparency, and I would like to continue working with this group as the councillor from the city of Kingston, moving forward in a positive direction. There was a number of presentations tonight which were referring to issues of concern that were definitely within the January to June period. This is prior to the addition of Diane and myself and Steve, who joined later on as well. So there has been some transition, but I think we're in a good place to be moving forward, and I would encourage my colleagues to consider their candidacy moving forward. If I was to add some new people, I do like Councillor Holland's perspective. You like to look at people with their very first choice as being the Taxi Commission. So in that case, we have applicant number 1, Joseph, applicant number 3, Mary Renee, and of course, yeah, those would be the 2 and then we just, I believe Penny Leclerc, I think she was just recently appointed to the Municipal Accessory Committee. And I did a point of order, but it was just to raise some interest about number 11 and number 12 not being eligible because of the bylaws with the city of the Taxi Commission that they cannot be valid plate holders or badge holders to be drivers because it's in conflict of a pecuniary interest. So in a nutshell, I would like to recommend the incumbents be reappointed. That is also the recommendation of our representative from Loyalist Township. And then I would support Joseph Abrue, who's been applying and has served on various committees in the past and has been applied a number of times before. And I do believe the Francophone woman, Mary Renee Belzile would also be a great addition. So that would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Chappelle. Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Hutchison, yeah, go ahead.
I think someone should address, so mention it, we don't know what the heck is going on here. Right? We're asked to elect people and we're told one thing by one group and quite another by the other group. And it makes it very difficult to figure out who you should be voting for. So, and unfortunately, this is not a committee of council. We could pass a motion saying, asking staff to winkle out what the heck is going on here. So I just think that should be voiced. And I don't know if others have an idea what we could do. I see Councillor Neal's got his hand up. I'd be happy to hear from him.
Councillor Neal, go ahead.
And I was the former chair of this committee way back when. And it's the first time in my living memory where two competing taxi owners have been on the same page on an important issue, which gives me a little bit of pause. Having said that, I know that we need continuity within our committees, but you know, it's clearly there have been some issues. I know I'm a policy wonk, but if they have a bylaw, they either have to amend the bylaw or they have to support, or they have to support the bylaw. And the suggestion is that some of the go-ahead instructions aren't in full compliance with the bylaw. So,
Point of order. Okay. Point of order.
I just need to, I need to address this, Madam Chair.
Yeah, but that's not a point of order. That's not a point of order.
Point of personal privilege as a member.
I am addressing it, please. Councillor Neal, I would ask that you not refer to operations of a committee that we are not a direct oversight body of. We, as you mentioned, as was mentioned, we are not here to discuss or debate the operations of that committee. We're here to evaluate applications and come to some agreement, have our vote on who would be the most appropriate individuals to serve on that committee. And if there were questions and there were concerns that were brought to our attention prior to this meeting, we should have been doing our due diligence to find out or get the best information possible about what was going on to have that understanding to make these recommendations. So I'll leave it at that.
Point taken.
Go back to Councillor Neal.
And my vote will reflect what I've heard and read.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. So Ms. James, I'm going to ask you please to go through the list.
Certainly.
Oh, and sorry,
Candidate one.
just to remind everyone, we have 5 votes total. Go ahead.
Candidate 1, Joseph Abro. C2. Candidate 2, Diane Aziz. 5. Candidate 3, Marie Renee Belzile. 5. Candidate 4, Anthony Carroll. See none. Number 5, Paul Chavez. See 2. 6, Joseph Dowser. 3. 7, Andrew Duncan. See 1. 8, Stephen Fraser. See 3. 9, Andre Einbol. See 1. Number 10, Penny Leclerc. See 1. Number 11, Peter McKenty. 1. Number 12, Sorry, was that 2, Councillor Hutchison? Okay, I'm just going to call that again for clarity. Number 11, Peter McKenty. 2. Number 12, Michael Mulrooney. See none. And number 13, Mohammed Youssef. Seeing none. Excuse me. So that has the results of this round are elected with 5 votes are candidate 2, Diane Aziz, candidate 3, Marie Renee Balzile, and candidates 4, Anthony Carroll, candidate 9, Andre Einbold, candidate 12, and Michael Mulrooney, and candidate 13 drop off with 0 votes. And
Okay.
so that, sorry, did you want me, Madam Chair, to indicate who's remaining?
Yes, please.
Okay, so remaining we have candidate 1, Joseph Abro, candidate 2, Paul Chavez, candidate 3, Joseph Dowser, candidate 8, Stephen Fraser, and candidate 11, Peter McKenty.
Okay. All right. So any further discussion on the remaining candidates? We have now elected 2 out of the 5, correct? Okay, Councillor Sandra, go ahead.
Sorry, which 2 did we vote in?
For you, Madam Chair, candidate 2, Diane Aziz, and candidate 3, Marie Renee Balzile.
Thank you.
Okay, so not seeing any other discussion, we can go to vote then this next time, but let's just make sure we all know we have still 3 votes each and 4 remaining candidates. Sorry. Right. Okay, when you're ready, Ms. James.
Sorry, I'll just clarify there are 5 remaining candidates.
Oh, 5, okay, yeah.
Candidate 1, Joseph Avro. I see 3. Candidate 5, Paul Chavez. 2. Candidate 6, Joseph Dowser. 3. Candidate 8, Stephen Fraser. 2. And candidate 11, Peter McKenty. 2. Okay. So the results of that round are that we have no members appointed with the majority. To summarize, Joseph Abro, 3 votes, Paul Chavez, 2 votes, Joseph Dowser, 3 votes, Stephen Fraser, 2 votes, and Peter McKenty, 2 votes.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, okay, I didn't see who was first. I'm relying on you. Janelle, go ahead.
It's my understanding, since there's 5 of us, the majority vote would be 3. Isn't that accurate?
Yes, Councillor Neal, you're correct. I realized that as soon as I said it. I'm used to 4, but as soon as I muted myself, I realized that.
It's been a long night.
So I stand corrected, which would leave Joseph Abro and Joseph Dowser appointed with 3 votes each.
Great. And Councillor Chappelle, did you have anything, or was that your?
No, my comment was actually going to be that I don't believe that Peter McKenty, having a licensed valid driver's badge currently, is permitted to sit on the taxi commission. And I raised that at the very beginning, both 11 and 12. And like correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk, but what we're looking for when people are applying is whether they're a resident of Kingston. That is the qualifier that we're looking at. We're not looking at whether they fit within the bylaws of the taxi commission. Would that be a correct assumption?
So it would be incumbent on the individual to declare a conflict of interest. I'm not thoroughly versed in the taxi commission bylaw. We do a check to make sure that that residents or that applicants are residents of the city of Kingston. Yes.
Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna just refer you to page 141. I am currently employed as a taxi driver. On page 141, very first sentence.
So,
And so Councillor Neal doesn't have to vote for that fellow.
all right, so just as a refresher then, we're now voting for how many, Ms. James?
Through you, Madam Chair, and to you, Madam Chair, we have elected 4 members. We are looking for 1 more.
Great. Okay, does anyone have anything further before we continue? Okay, Councillor Chappelle.
I would like to encourage the committee to support Stephen Fraser. He's a former OPP officer as well as a licensed mechanic. That's what he finished his career in. He served on the commission previously. He offers a very calming effect. He knows the bylaws very well in and out, offers a lot of the insight from the public policy perspective. And I'm very much in favor of him remaining on the committee.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, then we will have 1 vote each this time. And Ms. James, if you wouldn't mind, when you're ready.
Candidate 5, Paul Chavez. Let's see, 1. Candidate 8. Oh, sorry, Councillor Hutchison, are you raising your hand for Paul Chavez? So that's 2. Okay, candidate 8, Stephen Fraser. Let's see, 3. I don't think there's any need to call out the rest of the names. There was involved, we had 5 votes, which would mean that Stephen Fraser is elected in this round with 3 votes.
Great. All right. Thanks again to everyone who applied, and congratulations to those who have been appointed to that committee. So next one we have this evening is the Appeals Committee, and we're looking for 3 appointees for that one. 3 members required. We have 14 applicants. And I'll open it up, first of all, to members of the committee. I'll jump in. I've got a couple of thoughts. We're looking for 3. I have 2. Yeah, 3. Okay, so I have 2 flagged for this one. Hilary Wallace, who was, I served on this committee not long ago, and she was a new member just as I was departing, but a very effective member, has previous governance experience, and this is a group that deals, well, it's property standards and maintenance, property standards really, but also a bit of provincial legislative stuff that you need to be well versed in, and she was very impressive. Noor Maslin did not have it as her first choice, but I think she would be excellent on this committee. So I'm putting forward those 2 names. That's my one exception to my rule. Okay, Councillor Neal, go ahead.
That's okay. That makes your rule valid. I just have a quick question for the chair, I believe is Councillor Hutchison. It's my understanding that there are 3 strong incumbents on your committee. Is that an accurate assumption?
Madam Chair, through you. Okay. Yes, there are 3 strong incumbents who are experienced and know the job and have done it very well, in my opinion. So as the chair of that committee, I would be pleased to see them return.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Any further questions or discussion? Okay. Seeing none, Ms. James, we can go to our first round then on this one.
Candidate 1, Anthony Carroll. Candidate 2, Lindsay Foster. Candidate 3, Andre Einborn. C1. Candidate 4, Michael Judd. Candidate 5, Robert Knox. C5. Candidate 6, Catherine Kren. Candidate 7, Joshua Marcus. Candidate 8, Noor Maslum. C1. 9, Michael Muse. 10, Latoya Powder. 11, Todd Storms. C4. 12, Janice Wilby. 13, Hilary Wallace. 4. And 14, Mohammed Youssef. The results of this round are that Robert Knox is elected with 5 votes, Todd Storms is elected with 4 votes, and Hilary Wallace is elected with 4 votes.
Okay, thank you. All right, wonderful. Congratulations to the incumbents returning, and also thank you to those who put their name forward this round. Okay, so next is Kingston Frontenac Public Library Board. We are looking for 1 appointment. And we have 23 applicants. So I will open it up for any recommendations. Councillor Neal?
Thank you. I had several stars and was going down the list. And I have to say, I got as far as 20. I read 21. Ms. Varma was applying. I mean, she has such a wealth of experience. She's worked on so many municipal issues. She has a great network of support out there. I think, and having been a long time member of the library board, I have to say that she would be an excellent addition to the library board.
Thank you. Councillor Osander?
Thank you. Yes, I support the department as well, especially because right now we have so many social issues going on, and the library, also acts as warming and, helps people that are coming in that need access to resources. And I think she could be give some really sage advice to the library board on that. But I wish we were appointing more than 1 person to the board, because there are so many good candidates like Mark Asberg, definitely very like a worthy member of the library board too. And I also want to acknowledge Victoria Ruck because I know her, and she's new to wanting to really get involved in Kingston, Queen's grad, got a job right here in Kingston, and really wants to become part of our community. So hard choices. I wish it was more than 1 position. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I could echo those remarks. There's a number of strong candidates here. Particular number 22, Bhavana Varma. who I think Councillor Neil's remarks summed it up. She has a breadth of knowledge and involvement in the community. I would like to say a special nod to number 15, Noor Muslim, who has applied before and for different things and seems to be adding to her her curriculum vitae in a constructive way. She's now working at KEDCO, is involved with the Diverse Equity and Inclusion Committee, and would be covered by that herself, and that's part of our strategic planning. And she's also involved with Sustainable Kingston Sexual Assault Center. So I think that she is worth considering. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm just going to echo the, Councillor Chappell, you go ahead.
I was going to make a comment that Dorothean Brown was not reappointed to the Municipal Accessibility Committee, but however, her first choice was the Library Board, and she is on that list of candidates.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to give my support. Again, all wonderful candidates. Would be lovely to have them on any number of boards, and especially on this one as well. But Mohammed Youssef has done so much for people living in the city of Kingston. One thing that is most impressive, I would say, is her ability through the United Way to bring together a whole range of service providers to the betterment. She really has been able to sort of leverage existing resources in the community, and I think that's something that would be really amazing to see with the library, to have that skill set on the board. So I'll be supporting her. Okay. Seeing nothing else, then I guess we will go through the vote. I think maybe since it is a larger list, perhaps we could put out a short list, if that's okay. Just the few names that have been mentioned would be the short list, unless anyone has anyone else to add. Councillor Chappell?
Keep missing the mouse. Sorry about that, Madam Chairperson. Penny Leclerc.
Penny Leclerc as well. And so, Ms. James, just to confirm with you then that you've been keeping track of the comments and know who we've referenced so far.
I believe that I have, but if we could just have everybody just let me know again. I just don't want to miss anybody, but given that there's 23 candidates and one vacancy, I think shortlisting does make sense. So I'll read what I've made a note of, and if I've missed somebody, please just interrupt me and let me know. So I have number 5, Dorothean Brown, number 13, Penny Leclerc, number 15, Noor Muslim, and number 22, Pavna Varma.
Anyone wish to add anyone further?
Anybody want to add? Did I miss anybody?
Okay, looks like no, we're good for that list. Okay, so when you're ready, if you wouldn't mind walking us through that.
Okay, candidate 5, Dorothean Brown. Seeing none. Number 13, Penny Leclerc. 1. Number 15, Noor Muslim. 1. And number 22, Pavna Varma. It's 3. So Pavna Varma, candidate 22, is elected with 3 votes.
Okay. Thank you. Congratulations to Varma, and again, thanks to all of those talented members. Prospective candidates. So next we'll do the final committee selection that we need this evening, which is the Heritage Committee. There's one appointment required for Heritage. we have a list of 25 applicants. And just bear with me, I have to grab my piece of paper. Ms. Janes, you go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to remind the Nominations Advisory Committee that there is a requirement in the mandate for the Heritage Kingston Committee to keep a balance of physical heritage and cultural heritage. The member whose term came to an end and did not reapply, which led to the reason that we are filling this vacancy tonight, was an archivist and had skills more in the cultural heritage side of things. So if you want to keep that into consideration when you're making a recommendation.
Great, thank you for that. Okay, anyone wish to put any names forward for this committee? Councillor Chappelle and then Councillor Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Based on the comments of our clerk this evening, I'm going to change my preference. I really did like, well, it's too bad I only one vote, but I really did like number 8, Andrew Duncan. But given the requirement to have someone who has more of a cultural experience, I would suggest that Mark Asperg is an excellent candidate based on his CV and the comprehensive information he put in his application.
Thank you. Councillor Neal, go ahead.
Just a quick question for the clerk. This is a testament to how important heritage is in our community, because it's one position and there are 25 applicants, which I think speaks loudly to how we value heritage. I'm just curious, in the advertisement, which I read months ago, so I can't remember it now, but when you post the ads for heritage, do you identify those 2 primary criteria? Because like Councillor Chappelle, I had picked some people who I now gives me pause, because I think for cultural heritage, there may be better candidates.
Yes, we do, Councillor. A number of the applications that you see before you tonight may have been applications that were submitted prior to the initiation of this round of recruitment. So maybe we're when we were looking for multiple members with a sort of a more broad variety of experience. So that might be why you see applications.
Yeah,
and sometimes, you know, sometimes people just think it's worth a try. So
yeah, there may be people who think, well, I'm strong in structural heritage, but cultural heritage is important to me too. So they may have applied.
True, and I will add that it, you know, the bylaw does say that Heritage Kingston's membership should possess a diversity of skills, experience, and qualifications. So it's not the same as the Accessibility Committee, where there is a legislative requirement. It's a should as opposed to a must. I just wanted to draw that to sort of attention to nominations when you were making your considerations.
Excellent, thank you.
Great, thank you. So then I think probably, oh yeah, Councillor Stanek, go ahead.
Thank you. I had been interested in Jolinka Burney because she has experience on heritage in the city of Coburg.
Thank you. Mr. Hodgson?
A short question. The Councillor Chappelle mentioned someone, but he didn't give the number, and I couldn't get it down. And the same for Councillor Senate. Number 1. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. And what was the number for Councillor Sanek's suggestion? Four? Okay.
Okay.
I won't make any jokes about communications on this.
Please don't. No. Sure.
Okay, I think that, I presume the chair is gonna have put her 2 cents in here.
I was going, but I'll wait till you go ahead.
Okay, no. I also like that one, so I just wanted to know. So I also think that there's a young person, the one candidate there, number 22, Latoya Powder, that people might want to give consideration for. She's a planner with a private firm here, and I don't know if there have been any conflicts forthcoming there, but someone to consider. And someone has mentioned to me prior to this meeting.
Great, thank you. I wanted to mention, and I don't know if I have the right form in front of me. I'm pretty sure it's Lorraine Plord, his last name, and she has experience with art history, art conservation, actually, even, I think. Oh, okay, thank you. We got the numbers. Excellent, correct, perfect. So that was something that was appealing to me, also given the requirements, what were the sort of the gaps, I would say, that I will be supporting her. Seeing nothing else, then I guess we can go to a vote. But Ms. Janes, I'll just ask if you have a short list prepared, that'd be great.
I will clarify the short list, Madam Chair. I have number 1, Mark Asperg, number 4, Yolinka Burney, number 21, Lorraine Plord, and number 22, Latoya Powder. Okay, start the vote then. Candidate 1, Mark Asperg. Let's see any hands. Candidate 4, Yolinka Burney. See 3. Candidate 21, Lorraine Plord. 2. And candidate 22, Latoya Powder. The results of this round of voting are that Yolinka Burney is appointed with 3 votes.
Thank you. Great. All right. So congratulations and thank you to all who applied. Somewhere on my floor is the agenda, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to find it. So, Madam Clerk, is there any other business I need to get to?
Madam Chair, I can confirm that the next item of business is motions, of which there were none, followed by notices of motion, which there were none. Other business?
Seeing none. Nope.
Seeing none. The correspondence was addressed as part of the approval of the agenda. Of course, the date of the next meeting will be at the call of the chair. And so we are on to adjournment.
Excellent. All right. So thanks, everyone. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Point of order. Jim Neal, Councillor Neal, yes?
I know, usually I get whiplash trying to adjourn. But in the past, I know that we have had a confirmation motion to confirm the appointments. I see the other gray-haired fellow, actually white-haired fellow, nodding his head. That we have done that in the past. Should we be doing that this time?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, great. Yeah. So would you like to move that, Councillor Neal?
I will move that.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
And we confirm those candidates nominated and send.
Yeah, all candidates nominated tonight.
And and send our thanks to the rest. That's great. And it's seconded by Councillor Hutchison.
Great.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Hey, jeepers. All those in favor?
I'm such a policy wonk. I'm really sorry.
You've chaired your enough meetings to that you get that mistake, no problem. Okay, and seeing no other business, then how about Councillor Neal for a motion to adjourn? Over to you. Great. And second, thank you. All those in favor? Carries. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Well done, Madam Chair. Well done.
Thank you.